Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we're continuing with the Heilige Zohar HaKadosh, the weekly shir on the Parsha, and finding ourselves in the Zohar HaKadosh's treatment of the Parsha. Because the Alter Rebbe said to find oneself in the Torah itself, to live with the times, to live with the Gan Parshios Da'araisa, with the 53 Parshios that create the garden of what the Torah HaKadosh is. That was the avoid of the Balatanya. But when we read what the Mittler Rebbe writes about his father's Zohar Shirim on Friday night, which are printed in the Biurei Hazorah of the Mittler Rebbe, so then we see something else entirely, that the entire tachlis of the Torah was to come to the Zohar of that week's Parsha, because it's specifically in the Zohar, as the Chidush Arim points out, that we're able not only to learn a new way of learning the Torah, but experience the Torah in a new way. That, as Rav Hutner points out, that Pardes, Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod are not four coexisting universes that operate across a spectrum where each universe is true on its own, but rather there are four floors of a singular universe, that each and every one of the elements of Pardes and the fifth level of the Nun, which is the Neshama, which is the Pardasan Shel Tzadikim, the orchards of Tzadikim, which is also the secret of the Razin and the Razin de Razin, the secrets and the secrets of the secrets, which is the Torah of the Arizal, as understood through the lens of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, then to be brought back into the Zohar, as the Leshem Shabbat writes, the tachlis of all of the ksavim of the Ari is ultimately to come back to the Zohar Kadosh and be makusher back to Rashbi, because by being makusher back to Rashbi, then we're zeicha to his kashas to Moshe Rabbeinu, because Rashi is the aspect of Moshe, Elisa Lamaram V'Shivisi Shevi, that Moshe Rabbeinu ascends up to Shemayim and retrieves the neshama of Shimon Bar Yochai, because the Yechidei Hadoros, as we understand, they're Moshe, Rabbi Shimon, and then it goes down through Rabbeinu Ha'arizal, the Baal Shem Tov, the Nachal Nevei Makor Chachma, and all of the tzaddikim in our generation. And then our job is to ascend back from the lowest expression of those tzaddikim back to the highest, to uncover the secret of Moshe and the das of Moshe that remains buried within us. So it's moving back up to the Zohar HaKadosh. And what Rav Hutner describes and what the Chidush Arim describe and what the Alter Rebbe was describing and what all of the tzaddikim ultimately describe is that when a person brings it back into the Zohar HaKadosh, it's now operating in a deeper way. A person is breathing in the notions of the Torah. A person is now living in the ir miklat associated with that Torah. That it's no longer just an idea, but it's a protective space and it's a pocket of air from Gan Eden that gives the person chayis. As long as they're masig that idea, as long as they're makusha to that idea in the Zohar HaKadosh, it illuminates them. It's matzdike harabim. It brings schus to the rabbim. It brings a certain relief, kedai lismoch. There's a reliance that one can uncover within the light of the Zohar HaKadosh that gives one the ability to dig deeper into the very moment itself. So it's not only the Gan Parshios of the Torah that we're looking at, but it's specifically going to be the light of the Zohar HaKadosh as well. And here we are in Parshas Mikeitz, the Parsha of Paro dreaming, the Parsha of Yosef falling into Gullus and Mitzrayim, the Parsha of the illumination of dreams and the movement of concealment of Mitzrayim back into the secret of Geula, taking all of the elements of the mixed up letters and the jumbled letters of the narrative of Mitzrayim and Safnas Paneach and all of the hiddenness and the concealment and all of the jumbledness of it all, revealing that that has always also been a part of the unfolding nature of the Torah HaKadosha. That Yosef descending down into Mitzrayim appears to be the death of the Torah Chalila V'chas. The Aviv Shamar Sadavar, Yosef is meant to be the Hamshach of Yaakov, who's the Bechina of Torah. And now we have a Ha'lama of Yosef, that it's a Nahar Yavesh V'charev, it's an emptied out river, and it appears that the Torah has Chalila V'chas been cut off, like we say in Eicha, Ein Torah Chalila V'chas. And so the Gilui of Yosef HaTzadik is the secret of Hosafa, of Moisef B'Hoilech, which is the secret of being Mevarer, the Torah from within Golus Mitzrayim itself, which is nothing other than the Ketonis Pasim, the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah of Torah Shabbal Peh, which is the Chomer V'Levenim, da Kal V'Chomer V'da Libun Halacha, that the Chomer and the Levenim that Mitzrayim placed upon us were ultimately the Kal V'Chomer, the need to descend down into the murky territories of the darkness of Torah Shabbal Peh in order to Megalazain on the Torah of Yosef HaTzadik that comes out of that place. So we see that the entire Parsha is ultimately about the descent away from the revealed light of the Torah of Yaakov Avinu in Eretz Yisrael and the degradation of that light into the concealment of Yosef HaTzadik, of Safnas Paneach, of Ksoinas Pasim within exile of Mitzrayim. And the Tachlis is for Yosef to be Choser to Yehuda, to take the Klipa of Mitzrayim, which is the Yagia and the Meitzar, the constriction of the mind that forces one to be Mefalpel and to understand the secrets of Lamdas, V'chulei. So it's that elevation of Mitzrayim that brings us back to a place of adding the motivation of Chedushay Torah into the static flow of Torah. That Yaakov Avinu represents the static flow of Torah. Yosef HaTzadik represents the movement and the change and the shift within the Torah itself, and the secret of Chedushay Torah, and the secret of Kitoiv, and the Yasam, the secret of the beauty, the Yafa Torah Mara, that it's devoid of the illuminating light of Torah Shabbachsav, and therefore it gives us the ability through that Nasira to uncover secrets and new revelations within Torah Shabbal Peh. And then when Yosef comes back to Yaakov Avinu, obviously there's the hiskashrus of Torah Shabbal Peh with the Yichud of Hashem and Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and that's the chiddush of the Torah Shabbachsav and Torah Shabbal Peh that are mechuber biyachad. And so we're going to see in this week's Parsha that there's going to be a deep emphasis on the need to connect to the Torah, to connect to the element of the Torah, to learn the Torah, to understand that the Torah is the source of all of existence, that the narrative of the Torah and the psukim of the Torah, that they form concepts, they form paragraphs, which those paragraphs are ultimately built on sentences, and those sentences are ultimately built on words, which are built on letters, which are built on lines, which are built on dots, which are all built on the irreducible dot of ink, the yud, the dio, that contains all things that illuminates the mind, and the yud chachma kaduma, and the dail chakima biramiza, that the hisayrus is to be mechuber to the ayin hasharashi, to be mevatel ourselves betachlis in the light of the Torah, which doesn't negate the understanding of the Torah, which is the mind of Bina, but rather reveals how chachma and Bina can operate at once, which is the amelus and the yigiyas HaTorah, which is a kli every moment for more bittul of the hishtoikukas and the bittul of aniva ayin bevasachas, which is the secret of the amelus HaTorah, yigiyas HaTorah, which is the or of Keser, as Rav Shmuel Shlita points out so clearly in his Maimer, Yagiel Machakelach, based on the Rebbe Rashab and Hemshech Samech Vav, as well as the Talmidei Hagra, that the Iker Birur of all things in this Welt is through the Birure of Lumdus, through the breaking down of Kushios and Terutzim to come to that place of clarity. And that's going to be the secret of the Yichud of Chachma and Bina. And so the Zohar HaKadosh continues and it says, Tachazi, come and see. Ilana dechaya ihu b'kamadargin misparshin damin da v'kulachad. The tree of life expresses itself in numerous levels, each of them extending one from the other, but nevertheless they're all unified. So here we have the deepest secret of it all. We see this all the time when we expect to find a singular uniform achdus. The Torah HaKadosh reveals to us that it's an achdus that's built out of an apparent split at the heart of it. We think about Yichud Hashem, and then we're told Yichud Ilah and Yichud Hata, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and Baruch Shem Kavod. We think about ourselves, and then we're told immediately Nefesh Alikus, Nefesh Bahamis. We're told about ourselves, and then we suddenly face Shamar v'Zachar, Ahava and Yira, that the entire world is split into apparent two-ness because Achas Dibra Elokim Shtayim Zu Shamati, and it's our job to return from the two to the one in the secret of the Levyasan, which swallows itself, revealing the singularity at the heart of all doubledness, which is the Echad Shu. So we see over here again that the Eitz HaChaim, we assume the Eitz HaChaim is the opposite of the Eitz HaDas Tevra. Eitz HaDas Tevra is duplicitousness, it's a splitness. But over here we assume that the Eitz HaChaim is unified. But no, suddenly the Zohar HaKadosh comes and tells us, no, the Eitz HaChaim itself applies itself and extends itself across numerous levels and boundaries. And yet, nevertheless, they remain one, because the secret of the Eitz HaChaim is the oneness that persists and reveals itself after the apparent splitness to be moisif on the Achdus, because now we see that even in the period itself there's an Achdus, which is the secret of the Tosefes Kishut. So the Zohar HaKadosh starts off with an amazing notion. Tachazi, come and see, Ilana Dechaya, this tree of life, which one might assume is a singular thing, Bekama Dargin Misparshin Daminda. It extends itself and splits itself off into numerous levels, V'kulachad. But don't think that that splits up its original unity, because in truth it is choser back to a deeper unity of a klal, prat, and klal, that the klal descends down into a prat, which reveals that there's a splitness, and all of the pratim now go back to the klal hagadol and reveal that the klal contains the pratim as well. Deha me ilana dechaya is dargin ilin al ilin anpin ve'alin klipin gufa de ilana sharashin v'kulahi ilana. Because let's think about the tree itself. Don't get caught up in the attempt to understand the metaphor. Look at the metaphor itself. The metaphor always contains the deepest secret. The mashal is the nimshal. This is a secret that we've spoken about in the past with regards to the Leshem's understanding of Pnimiyas HaTorah and the language of mamish kavyachol, of a literal figurativeness or a figurative literality, something that is real and not real at once. Its unrealness doesn't negate its reality, and its reality doesn't force it into something that stops being unreal. That's the secret of mamish kavyachol, a language that that Arizal uses, and a language that the Leshem uses, and a language that Rabbi Nachman uses, and a language that Rav Avram ben Rav Nachman uses, and a language that the Rebbe uses, and a language that the Nefesh HaChaim uses. Mamish Kavyachol, it's a language that the Baal Tanya uses. And so over here, so to understand the secret of how the Eitz HaChaim can split itself up from unity into duplicitousness and only return back to unity, instead of getting caught up in the metaphysical speculation of it, what the Zohar Kadosh is doing, as Chazal do all the time, are drawing us back to the actual reality of it. The Ha Ki Ilana Dechaya, this tree of life, is Dargin Ilin al Ilin. There's various levels that are grafted onto one another. Anfin va'alin klifin. There are branches and there are leaves that grow off of those branches. Gufa di Ilana. There's the bark of the tree, Shorashayan, and there is the roots of the tree, the Kula hi Ilana, and all of them are part of the tree. So just as a tree has many various parts, and the partness of it all doesn't negate from the general category of a tree, so too the Eitz HaChaim has a unity that allows itself to extend into various parts, yet seen from a gestalt perspective of the parts of it all, it's still the same Eitz HaChaim. Kegavna da, so too, in terms of the metaphor now, of interpreting this in terms of the individual's process and avoida, kegavna da, kol man de ishtalda b'oraisa ihu etatken ve'estakif bi'ilana dechaya. So too, in the image of this, just as the tree of life and the tree itself is comprised of many parts that reveal a whole that is greater than the sum total of its parts, so too any person who engages with effort in the Torah itself is as if they are connecting themselves and refining the tree of life itself. So how do we get to the tree of life? Eitz Chaim hi lamach, but the tree of life is the Torah. And again, it doesn't mean the understanding of Torah necessarily. There's limud legirsa, there's limud be'iyun, there's limud b'bkias, but there's also the chilek of living with the Torah, that the Torah itself is the illumination of all things. As Rav Tzadok HaKohen Melublin says, that in his Yalduso, in his youth, he heard a secret that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrote a book, and this book is the world, and the Torah is the commentary on that book, that the Torah is the way that we refine our conception of reality. It is the framework through which we view reality, and it's the divrei Torah of each and every person's life that are ultimately going to be revealed through our hismoidedus, through our chelik of Torah, through our os of Torah. And so by engaging in Torah, we connect ourselves to the Ilana Dechaya. The Chol B'nei D'Mehenusa Yisrael Kulam Metakfim B'Ilana Dechaya Kula Achidin B'Ilana Mamish Minhoin B'Hahu Gufad B'Ay. And every faithful soul of Klal Yisrael, and the faith in Klal Yisrael exists no matter what. It's the secret of Toich Emunei Am Segula, that there's a Toich of the Emuna, that even if I don't have the Emuna Begilui Mamish, I have to have Emuna in the Sherish of my Emuna, which is Derech Emuna Bacharti, which is Megala Milsa, on the fact that every Yid has an irreducible Nakuda of Emuna that travels with them wherever they are, and it can be applied and extended across the board in any given situation without any situation that doesn't fall into the category of where Emuna can operate. The Mehimnusa de Yisrael, Kulan Metakfim Be'ilana Dechaya, they are all connected and merged with the tree of life. Kula achidin be'ilana mamish. All of them are absolutely and actually unified with that tree. Minhoin bahahu gufa debei. Now, there are some who are connected to the bark of it. Minhoin achidin ba'anfin. And there are those who are connected to the branches of it. Minhoin ba'alin. And some to the leaves. Minhoin b'sharashin. And some to the roots. Ishtachachu de kulya achidin be'ilana dechaya. It turns out then that we see that each and every one of them is connected to the Ilana Dechaya, to the tree of life, V'inan de Mishadran Ba'araisa, and those who spend time studying the Torah, Kula Achidin Begufa de Ilana, all of them are connected to the guf of the Ilan, Ubegin Kachman de Mishtadra Ba'araisa Ihu Achid Bekula V'ha'ukma, the Itmar. And therefore, someone who studies the Torah themselves are going to be connected to all parts. So what the Zohar Kadosh is saying is as follows. There's many ways to connect oneself to the tree of life. The tree of life can be connected to through any emotional experience, through any physical experience, through any mitzvah, maisim tovim, midah, refinement, framework, and narrative structure of how I relate to this world and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence in this world. Each of those moments are opportunities to connect to the Eitz HaChaim. And there are many, many different access points to the Eitz HaChaim. The Eitz HaChaim, first and foremost, we see exists perpetually at every moment. If a person can connect to the Eitz HaChaim at any moment, that means that it is accessible at any moment. And this is based on the secret that Be'emes, the Eitz Hadas Tevara, is nothing but an extension of the Eitz HaChaim. And that when we ate from the Eitz Hadas Tevara, we were Be'emes eating from the Eitz HaChaim because B'Sharashim Ner Echad, as the Tzadikim point out, that Ve'etz HaChaim B'Sei Chagan, that, and also the Eitz Hadas is B'Sei Chagan. How can you have two things in the Toich? How can you have two things in the center point? The center point is an irreducible point that that is singular. Elamad, the two trees are actually the same, and therefore they share a root. And the Leshem says that the entire unfolding process of history is the refinement of the Eitz Hadas to the degree that we reveal that the Eitz Chaim has always been in it, that we're always eating from the Eitz Chaim. It's accessible to us at any level. And it also shows us that anybody who is connecting to the Eitz Chaim in their understanding, to the Chai HaChaim, to the light of Torah, which is Or Ein Soif Mamish, as the Rashash points out, that the Torah is the Kav HaYored Min Or Ein Soif Koidem Atzimson Ad La'achar Atzimson, meaning to say that accessing the Torah is one extended shame of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the Ramban writes in his Hakdamat HaChumash, and that we have to be mahapech the Torah into tefillah, as Rabbi Nachman points out, because ultimately it's the vulnerable acknowledgement of not knowing anything in the end of the day, and the bittul ha'amiti b'shayrish hakol that the Torah is leading us to. But connecting to the Torah is the chelek of connecting to the Eitz HaChaim. This is the Or HaGanuz. This is the Lamed Vav Neros, which are the Lamed Vav Mesechtos and Shas, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going as the Or HaGanuz in the Torah itself. And when a person stops only learning for an intellectual exercise, but allows themselves to be surprised by the illumination of the infinite light that is present before, during, and after the limud itself, which can be applied in a practical way of what does this limud do for me? How can I weaponize this in a tefillah-oriented form that gives me a new defense mechanism against the harshness of reality, which is the ultimate purpose of the Torah, which is the Torah Hashem Tamima Meshivas Nefesh, that anytime I have that orientation towards the Torah, I am connecting to the Eitz HaChaim. What the Zohar Kadosh is also adding is that the study of Torah itself, the engagement with Torah, is connecting to the guf of the tree itself, that there's nothing like the limud of Torah, that spending time, whether one is feeling it or not feeling it, with a limud, with a seder halimud, whether it be a chelak in Shas, a chelak in Torah Shebechsav, a chelak in Mishnah, a chelak in Pnimius, every yoimi aspect of a person's Torah learning, that is also the access point where a person is mamish mechuber to the gufa ilan, which is what the Balatanya describes in Parak Dalet as the yichud nifla that takes place when a person actually studies Torah, because in other areas we're either surrounded or surrounding, but in Torah a person is both surrounded by and surrounding the Torah, which is a profoundly impossible level of unity to even begin to understand. The Leshem Shabbat V'Chaloma also explains this. So the Zohar Kadosh is saying that yes, all of experience is the Eitz HaChaim, but there's the Eitz HaChaim of the Eitz HaChaim, which is Limud HaTorah, which is the Sha'ashu and the Oraisa, which is the act of learning Torah Lishma, L'Shem Ha'ois, L'Shem understanding it, to connect to the giver of the Torah, to connect to the light that illuminates through the Torah itself. And to bring a remez to this, the Katz Shem L'Choshech, that the Zohar Kadosh begins with the pasuk from Eov, that there's a limit placed to darkness, and there's a darkness of the limit itself, that in order to access the secret of the illumination of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's infinite light and the light of the Eitz HaChaim that is present in every aspect of Torah, one needs to uncover the secret of the Mikeitz, which is kamatz, which is a chachma, which is a chachma and a shtika, a willingness to stop, a willingness to hold the idea within and to pause, and instead of going weiter in the sugya, to close the eyes and to realize that the Gemara is like a gumra, it's like a flaming coal that illuminates the soul, and it teaches me over and over, Gemar Aleph, that I have to be mukusha to the lufa shel olam that hides underneath the black fire of the letters, in the white fire of the illumination, that brings the mind to the fact that yes, I can understand everything, but everything that I understand ultimately brings me to the awareness that I don't understand anything and that I can't understand anything, so that I'm armed with both knowledge and non-knowledge, that the non-knowing comes about at the apex of knowing, and the non-knowing gives birth to another form of knowing, and then another unknowing, ad ein sof mamish, because tzadikim ein lehem chayil, loy ba'olam hazev, loy lo'olam haba, because the Torah is Ein Sof, and the Torah is Torah Hashem Tamima, as the tzaddikim say, we haven't even begun to touch the Torah. After all is said and done, after all is revealed, the Torah still remains as concealed as it was beforehand, because it's infinite in its expression and it's infinite in its essence. And Be'ezras Hashem, when we can uncover the secret of the kamatz, of the chachma, that allows me to say stop over here, and it's the pia pascha b'chachma, but it's the siag l'chachma shtika, that I first have to have a shtika in Torah to connect myself to the shtika that emerges out of the daf, the Or HaGanuz, the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Only then to be chayzer back to the shtika kahida'a, that I can now begin to speak, and that chachma is pia pascha v'chachma, the wisdom of chachma, the opening of the mouth, is first and foremost built upon the silence of siag l'chachma shtika, of remembering the silence behind the text and then going back into the text, and that's the secret of being mekusher to the Eitz HaChaim, the Chai HaChaim, being mekusher to the Or of Chanukah, to the Or of Yisoid, to the Or of the Hiskashus, to the Kav of the Torah, to the Kivoy at the heart of every aspect of Limud HaTorah, and to the Tchias HaMesim that is inherent in every element of the Torah, and to be Zoicha, the Torah Atika Stima'a, which is the revelation that the Torah that we understand right now is always going to be the Torah we're always going to trying to be understanding. That there's no shift. The only thing is the reorientation to the understanding of it and the new orientation of the letters. But it's a Torah Achasi, and the Torah is one thing from the beginning of time to the end of time, from the Torah of Moshe, from the Torah of before Moshe, through the Torah of Moshe to the Torah of Mashiach. It's one Torah, and it's unified in the element of the Or Chaim and the light of Chaim and the Be'er Maim Chaim and all of the lights that we're drawing down for ourselves in the Or of Chaye Chaim, which is the secret of Hanukkah, which is the Hamshach of the Shemen Mishchas Chodesh, which is the secret of Chachma Kaduma, the secret of Chachma Satayr, which is the secret of the Kav or Ein Sof that's yored down and Nuslabish in the worlds of Atzilus, Bri Yitzir and Asiyah, to be Megala, the Or Mufla Remala, and the Torah Chadashim Me'iti Titze, which is the secret of Zois HaTorah, of Zois Hanukkah, the Giloy of an Or Chadash, Al Tzion Tayr, V'niska Chalona B'mhera Le'oira, Be'ezras Hashem.